Hey guys, hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing tonight? Can you hear me okay? I saw some of you in here and I saw some of you doing really well on the questions. That was awesome. Filipino boy, hello, winning streak. Hello, Wolfgang. Hello. Random JL, hello. Milk and honey, hi. Virginia, hello. Joe, not sober Joe. I saw that comment. Hello. Ark, you did an awesome job answering those questions. James, hello. Did I miss anybody? I want to scroll all the way up. But, oh, Papa, hello. Hello, hello. Hudson, I need you to wear sunblock. No lobsters. Oh, thank you, Winning. Thank you. All right, guys. So tonight I'm going to touch on some world news again. And then I want to do the last half of the stream on some feel good stories because there's so much negativity out there. I don't want to end my stream on something negative. So I've got some really cool feel good stories that I found. That, of course, the news is always negative. They never want to share anything good. But I dug up some feel good stories, feel good news stories. So I'm going to share those as well. But I want to touch on some things going on around the world. Some of them you guys have probably already heard about, but some of them you may not have. So let's get into it. Always takes me a minute to find everything. Wolfgang, I cut my own hair. I never pay anyone to do my hair, whether it be cut, color, anything. I always do my own hair. So, yes, I did cut it. I cut my own hair. It was getting too heavy, too hot, and I got tired of, bangs. I got tired of having to flip my hair back, so I cut my bangs. Yep. I'm tired of this, so I need a change, and this is the way I change. Hey, Moonsprout. Also, before I get into this, you guys, Nightbot is going to be popping up the link to register for the meetup in October. I should have, I meant to share that link with my hubby so he could put it in there as needed, but I think there's a command for it. So if you guys need the registration link, if you type, hold on, bear with me, bear with me. If you type, I think it's meetup. I'll put it in there so you guys know. It should pop up the registration link for you guys. Let's see if this works. And then we'll get into the news. Let's see, let's see. If not, it's going to pop up on its own on a timer. But that way I can keep a head count of how many people are going to be there because I'm allowed to have a maximum of 50 people. So I want to make sure that I don't go over that number. And I need to know how many people to pay for when I get there. I've paid the deposit. The place is ours. I just have to pay the balance when I get there. So I need to know how many people are going to be there so I know how many to pay for. Those of you that sent me a donation through the registration donation link, I really greatly appreciate it. It helps a lot. You know who you are. I don't know if you want your names out there or not, but I do want to thank you for that. I appreciate it more than you realize. Donations, guys, are not required. Do not think that they are required. They are not required. So there's two links. There's one if you want to donate, and there's one if you don't. So if you don't, you're not going to hurt my feelings. It's totally fine. It's not going to cost you anything to come up there and do the meetup and camp. So just click on the register without donation and put however many are going to be there so that I have a proper head count. Hi, Stray. I don't think it sent me, I don't think I put the link in there when I posted it. But it should pop up on its own. So let me get into sharing some links here. Do you guys remember when I came back from Tennessee, I was telling you that I went to the Tennessee meetup, and um, they were warning that something else is coming out in the fall, and it's going to be targeted towards children and elderly. And we all know, or we have suspicions, I should say, we all have suspicions that the COVID virus was actually the flu, ramped up version of the flu, because there were 0 cases of the flu, but there was thousands and thousands of cases of COVID. So, hi, Dan. So now I have a suspicion, because I found this link that I'm going to share. And I can't see the chat while I have this up, you guys. I'm sorry. But they are now talking about RSV prevention. And in this article, and I know y'all don't like CNN, but I just thought that this is interesting. Usually, whenever we see something on CNN or Fox or ABC or so forth, they're saying, this is a possibility. But even though we don't like mainstream media, these are normally the outlets that are telling us what is coming, which is why I go to some of these outlets to get information of not so much to cause fear, but to fair warn. So it's really just kind of the first part of this article I want to bring up. They are talking about it. So I'll just read it. It says, on Monday, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved an antibody injection to protect newborn babies from respiratory RSV. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. RSV, also known by its brand name, or NIS. Guys, I should have tried this, but I should have practiced these words. Nirsevimab, also known as its brand name Beyfortus, is expected to be available this fall. So they are trying to get these antibodies out and ready for the fall. So it makes me wonder if RSV isn't going to be ramped up into a new virus, and if this isn't what is going to go after the children. I don't know this. It's just a suspicion. The time frame seems to match up, and it comes. Let's see. It says this comes as the FDA has approved, and the CDC has recommended that there's 2 new RSV vaccinations. So, if you guys remember when COVID happened, they also came out and said, we don't just have these vaccines that we pushed out. We also have these the monoclonal antibodies that we're pushing out. So now they're kind of saying the same thing with this RSV. We have these antibodies just in case RSV ramps up this fall. But guess what? We also have these new vaccinations coming out for the children. So it seems as if they're almost hand in hand. Just beware. I'm letting you guys know so that you can beware that this is a possibility of what might be coming out. It talks about, the importance of vaccines. I'm not even going to read all this. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm anti-vaccines that haven't been tested properly and that have dishonesty behind them. There are legitimate vaccines, I feel, that do good, but I think that a majority of them cause more harm, and you have to weigh the good to the bad. And I really think a lot of them are not the best. For those of you that don't know, antibodies, your body, when you get sick, they share, or they create antibodies. Your body, as it fights this virus, it creates antibodies. They're natural antibodies that if you ever contact this virus again, then your body knows how to turn around and attack them. The vaccines that they put out there, they inject a part of the virus into you so that your body creates these antibodies. So I don't have anything negative to say about the antibodies, because antibodies are the best way to fight viruses. Even if it's your own natural antibodies of getting sick and fighting it, those antibodies stay in your system for a long time. So if they're coming out with an antibody for RSV, I think that personally is great. I wish that they would come out with antibodies for other illnesses, but there's not really a whole lot of money in antibodies, so I don't see them doing it widespread for different diseases and viruses. But I bet that they probably could come up with a whole bunch of different antibodies for a whole slew of viruses. But they'd rather push the vaccines. And unfortunately, the antibody for the RSV is not going to come out until, and it says this in this article, I should have read this part, but it says it's not going to come out until the CDC approves for it to come out, which I'm not really sure why they have to approve it. I thought it was just the FDA that approves it. But they're saying that they're not going to release these until the um, CDC approves it. And I'd be shocked to see if they approve it because they are working on the vaccines. So I see them pushing the vaccines before they push out the antibodies. And actually, there's the link right there for the registration for the meetup, you guys. So if one of you can click on that and make sure that it's clickable, I would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, I will have to try to find another way to get that in there for you guys. Um, the next article, and I'll add all these as usual in the description. I should have done it beforehand. The next article is just kind of a one that I was like, really, guys, you really are going to try to do this? And I don't know if y'all seen this yet. I think it's stupid, personally. All right, guys, ready? We went from Bud Light's person to literally called gay water, vodka soda, gay water. They've already made this. This is already out there to target. It's targeted towards that community. But they said basically that the way that Budweiser went about and did it was wrong. So now this company with this gay water is doing it the right way. Which I'm sorry, if any of my friends walked in with that, I would have to question why are they drinking such a foo-foo drink in the first place. I'm not one for the White Claws and all that sort of drink. If y'all can drink those, that's great. I think they taste terrible. I would rather drink straight alcohol than drink any of the White Claws or any of the soda water and fruity drinks like this. So this drink, gay water, it wants to stand out. So launching Thursday, it's brightly colored canned vodka and soda beverage that proudly displays who's it's for. Instead of backing off from the support from the LGBTQ plus community as other companies have done in recent months, in other words, where Bud Light has buckled under pressure as bigotry grows against the LGBTQ plus community, Gay Water's creators Spencer Hudson, I'll say Hodson, wants his new boozy brand to be the antithesis of that. Hudson, please go buy a can of this for Livingston just to get a reaction from the community on one of your We All Gonna Die Wednesday streams. I think that would be hilarious. And I think that Livingston would get a kick out of trying to play this off. Please. Yeah, you know what, PBC? It probably does come in a monkeypox flavor, as well as other flavors that I can't really mention on here. But I'm wondering how far this is going to go. How long is this going to go before people boycott this as well? Or I don't know. The article didn't really say who makes this. So many pop-ups, but it's I feel like the color of the can also is targeting the younger generation, not just the queer community. I think it's targeting the younger generation with all the bright colors and how pretty it looks or cartoonish it looks. And we know that there's all kinds of things out there targeting kids. And I almost feel like this is also targeting kids. I could be wrong, but I don't know, guys. Tell me what you think. Do you think that kids would be attracted to this, or I could see even a mother packing a kid's lunch and accidentally putting this in their kid's lunch bag because of the color, thinking it's like a juice can of some sort, which we all heard the old stories, before of White Claws and all that showing up in lunch boxes accidentally. But how many of these are going to accidentally show up in a kid's lunchbox? I'm just saying. So let's go to the next one, shall we? I'm going to try to move through these kind of quick. Let's see, what's my next one? Oh, this one. I'm not sure if you guys know about this. This is a heads up. And you may have already heard about this one. It is the White House says Russia's preparing for attacks on civilian ships in the Black Sea. I don't know if you guys know about that or about um, the wheat being not being able to get here, or now the rice from India not being able to get here. But now they're saying that Russia is going to attack these shipping containers, these ships that have our cargo in the Black Sea. And this is going to cause a lot of problems for us. It is going to cause a shortage in the stores again. I don't know if you guys remember the California coast, when all the ships were just stuck out there, floating out there in the ocean, and a lot of shelves were empty. And a lot of the foods that were on the shelves were starting to go bad, or they were the fruit and the vegetable section, the produce section was just, there were fruit flies everywhere because the vegetables had sat in these containers for a while before they got them into the stores, and then they tried to sell them to the public anyways. I remember the meat coming in, it was just gray on the shelves and it stunk to high heaven. But this could cause another problem just like that. So if you guys dehydrate, if you guys freeze dry, if you can, I would highly suggest, and if you don't have a garden, that you start putting stuff away if you haven't already, because we could very well hit another shortage. Make sure that you get all your toiletry items and diapers, formulas, all those things that you usually just get once a month or once every other week. Get a couple of extra cans so that you have 3 months worth, just in case this causes another shortage. So in this article, it says the Washington AP, days after Russia suspended participation in the wartime deal that allowed grain to flow from Ukraine to countries around the world, the White House on Wednesday warned that the Russian military is preparing for possible attacks on civilian shipping vessels in the Black Sea. Since leaving the Black Sea grain deal this week, which is why I said our grains, we're going to have a hard time getting grains. That's our breads, our tortillas, some of our baby foods, chips. I mean, there's a lot of our foods that have grains in them, cereal bars, oatmeal, guys. I mean, this is a huge chunk of what we eat in the grocery stores. So they've left the Black Sea grain deal this week. Russia's already struck Ukraine's grain export ports in Odessa with a missile and drone attacks. Some 60,000 tons of grain were destroyed in the attacks, which means that what we do have, supply and demand, those prices are about to skyrocket if they haven't started already. Our information indicates that Russia laid additional sea mines in the approaches to Ukrainian ports. White House's National Security Council spokesman Adam Hodge said in a statement, "We believe that this is a coordinated effort to justify any attacks against civil ships in the Black Sea and lay blame on Ukraine for these attacks." So they are basically saying that it could very well be a false flag to toss that blame onto Ukraine. But no matter who does it, it is going to cause a shortage, and it is going to cause our prices to go up. So definitely try to get those things, not just the grain, guys. I mean, grain's very important right now because that's what's being affected immediately. But you need to stock up on those other things, because if they're not allowing ships to come out to go to other ports, it's going to cause everything to go up. So you need to make sure you also have a variety of things. So um, don't just. I know when COVID first hit and they did the lockdowns, all the frozen food sections were out. Please don't do that, you guys. Please have enough common sense to buy things that are shelf stable that will you don't need the refrigerator to keep them cold. And honestly, if you are able to do pressure canning, I would suggest um, kind of rotating your meat out of the freezer by taking them out of the freezer and pressure canning them and then restocking with new meat in your freezer. That way you're not having to use it, but you're still doing a form of rotation if you can't use it right now. Let's see. Thank you, TJ. Appreciate it. Hi, ABC Patriot Cat Lady. Hello, I missed some of y'all. Not sure who else, all else I missed, but hopefully I didn't. I'm going to keep on moving. I've got so many tabs open. I have to find what I'm looking for. And some of them decided to close on me, so I have to refresh them because they're not loading. All right, well, oh, okay, so this is, and it's not loading, but I think you guys already know about it, the tornado that hit the Pfizer plant in North Carolina. Um, For those of you that don't know, the East Coast, all the way from Florida, all the way up to where Hudson is, up in New York, we are getting some really, really bad weather. And I'm talking massive lightning, massive thunder, massive wind, flooding like crazy. I think Hudson up in New York is getting most of the flooding, as we're down here in South Carolina, we are getting some crazy winds that we had to run outside, my husband and I, and secure our shade cloth on the garden because it sounded like a tornado was coming. So we were out there in the pouring rain, trying to secure the cloth on more sturdy because the wind was trying to take it away. Oh, thank you, ABC Patriot. I appreciate it. I'm going to put that towards the meetup. Anything I get's going to go towards the meetup, guys. I really appreciate it. But we've gotten some really, really terrible weather. So, oh, there we go. It loaded now finally as I'm talking. So, a huge tornado hit a Pfizer plant in North Carolina. I already talked about the heat and the floods. Our heat here has been like 95 to 100 degrees before humidity. So the heat index has been like 110, which, if anyone has felt that kind of heat and massive humidity, you know it's like walking into a sauna. It is just disgusting. Let me try to close that ad. There we go. So in Raleigh, North Carolina, a tornado heavily damaged a major Pfizer pharmaceutical plant in North Carolina on Wednesday, while torrential rain flooded communities in Kentucky and an area from California to South Florida endured more scorching heat. Pfizer confirmed that the large manufacturing complex was damaged by a twister that touched down shortly after midday near Rocky Mount, but said in an email that it had no reports of serious injuries. A later company statement said that all employees were safely evacuated and accounted for, which is good. I'm so glad that nobody got hurt in this because it was a pretty bad tornado. So parts of the roof were ripped open atop the massive building. The Pfizer plant stores large quantities of medicine that were tossed out. So it says, I've got reports of 50,000 pallets of medicine that are strewn across the facility and damaged through the rain and the wind. The plant produces anesthesia and other drugs, as well as nearly 25% of the sterile injectable medications. Pfizer supplies the U.S. hospitals. The company said it's on its own website. So I know a lot of us are probably kind of relieved that God probably hit Pfizer for the evil that they did over the last couple years. But what people aren't realizing, hey, Ronnie, I love the new channel change. That's so awesome. I love it. And I can tell you're so much happier doing it. But Pfizer Pfizer is not just the vaccines, guys. Pfizer actually handles a lot of our medications, medications that people need every single day. They handle a lot of, like it said, the anesthesias. They handle a lot of the pain medications, seizure medications, diabetes medications. I mean, things that truly people have to have, they handle. And this is, we already had a shortage of medications, and now it's going to be even worse, and it's going to not only cause people not to be able to have medications, but for people who have surgeries, it's going to prevent them from having some of these surgeries. So it's going to delay a lot of necessary surgeries that people have scheduled because they're not going to be able to get the medications that they need to perform the surgeries or for aftercare. So I'm understand being happy for it being damaged in the storm, because we're all not happy about how Pfizer handled the vaccines. Um, but there is some medications out there that this storm also, um, caused them to have to throw out, that people really need, that we need to just be aware that it's not just the vaccines, and um, to look up how important it is to have a backup plan if you cannot get a hold of your medications. I talk about medicinals, herbs all the time, and I'm not just talking about the ones that y'all smoke. I'm talking about the ones that you actually grow, that you can put in teas and you can put in capsules and so forth. You need to really do your research, and I need to get back into those videos. I've been slacking on those, but you really need to do your research, where if something like this does happen and you can't get your medication, what is a backup that works? So you need to not only do your research of what there is that can be used, you need to test it out to see if it works for you, because everybody's body is different. So if you have to find a medication, or if you take a medication that lowers your blood pressure and you want to find an herb that can do the same, you need to try it out and see if it actually works for you. And you also need to know that which medications take time to build up to start working, because some of them you can't just take and it works instantly. It's something that you really have to build up in your system. So just be aware this has happened, and there's going to be a shortage, a massive shortage on medications. So have backup plans. Or another thing I suggest is, a lot of people, when they go to the doctors, or I don't like going to the doctor. I rarely go to the doctor. But when I do go to the doctor, if my doctor does prescribe me something, even if it's a pain medication, I will go get that prescription filled, even if I don't use it, because I put it in my preps. So it may be something that I can use later, or that I may need to use later for somebody else. So definitely, if you go to the doctor, if they give you a prescription, even if you don't want to fill it, get it filled so you can put it away, because your prescriptions, as long as you keep them in a dark place, they last longer than the internet tells you. And if you can't go get those prescriptions, there's also Mike in Hudson Valley. He is an affiliate with Jace Medical. You can get his link, and you can get prescription medications. I know that fish antibiotics you can't really get anymore. There are some places that you can still order, but if you want to get actual, real human prescribed antibiotics and pain medications, I think they do pain medications. Get a hold of Mike at Hudson Valley, and get his link for Jace Medical, because you can get a whole kit of backup medications through Jace Medical, through Mike, through Hudson Valley. Search on medicinal herbs. This story here, guys, this really irritated me. They really think we are dumb. So I came across actually a couple articles. We're so tired of hearing about climate change, climate change, climate change. Now, we do know that there is climate change, and I know this is too small to read, and I'm just going to give you the gist of it. But basically, they are saying, let's see, go back up to the top here. I love how they made this so beautiful. So they're talking about the planet warming is what's causing these diseases, viruses, funguses to spread from places they normally are, like malaria is usually in Africa. Why is it coming to our country or to Europe is because of um, global warming. That's what they're trying to say. They're trying to convince the people that these things are coming because of global warming. And the reason why a lot that this killed me too, the reason why a lot of these infections in the past that have been eradicated are coming back is also because of global warming. um, I thought that was pretty interesting. So basically, the temperature comes goes up, 3, 4 degrees, and all of a sudden, eradicated things come back just magically because the weather is cooler. They just decided, oh, it's not so hot today. I'm just going to go ahead and step out and jump on somebody. It's really dumb. It's dumb to even put that out there and to think that anyone believes this is just mind blowing to me. Do people get sick in cold weather? Yes. Is it because the viruses migrated into cold weather? No, it's because in cold weather you are have the tendency to stay inside, to stay warm. Therefore, you're not going out, you're not getting fresh air. All the germs and bacteria in your heater, you're turning on your heaters for the first time, and it starts going through your home without having a good circulation, and your immune system drops down because of this. So people have the tendency to get flus and get colds and get viruses in the cold season more often than in the hot season because of being cooped up in closed spaces and not going out and getting that fresh air and so forth. That has absolutely nothing to do with the temperature outside, raising up. So viruses, fungus, they literally even said in this article, even funguses are spreading because it's too hot for them. They're going to colder areas. So it just is really dumb. So I had to tell you that was something that the the news or the NWO or the CDC, whoever wrote it, the WHO, whoever wrote that and decided to put that out on numerous different news stations, um, thinks we're that stupid. They actually think that we are that stupid. Let's see. I'm not going to touch on that one. All right. So, hi, Yardbirds. Oh, good, Pete. I was just thinking, I was hoping that you were in here, and he is going to get a headset. So I am hoping that, Pete, let me know when you have your headset on because this news article is actually from your neck of the woods, and I want to see if you have heard about it. Do, 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 do. I will say hi to some people while I'm waiting. Hi, KP. All right. So hopefully Pete's got his headset. I'm going to go into this. Actually, let's go into this one instead. Illinois. Share the screen. All right. So Illinois sheriff brace for fallout of America's most dangerous law after state Supreme Court ends cash bail. Okay. So sheriffs in southern Illinois say that they are bracing for more crime and more victims that result from the end of cash bail across the state. Folks who live here are extremely concerned. Franklin County Sheriff Kyle Bacon told Fox News in an experiment on the backs of victims of crime. I have a serious concern, and so do the people that live here. So the cliff notes on this particular article. They are testing removing criminals from having to do a cash bail to get out until their trial date, unless the courts feel that they are a public danger. So basically, somebody goes in, robs a store at gunpoint, gets arrested, goes to jail, gets a lawyer. The court case is set for a week from there when they're arrested. And because this criminal did not shoot anyone while he was robbing the store, they are letting him out without a bail with a promise that he's going to show back up at court. Or if the people, let's say the person gets into a fight, if they don't have any past criminal history, they're going to get out without a cash bail with a promise that they're going to show up in court. Welcome back, RP. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Chicago is one of the biggest crime areas in the United States. I'm pretty sure it is. So, why would they test this theory or this process where they're going to arrest a criminal, set up a court date, and then let them back out? How many times have we heard in the past that criminals that were let out waiting for their trial date have gone out and committed more crimes while they were waiting and got arrested again? Yardbirds, what state are you in? I'm curious. And do you have open carry laws there or constitutional carry laws there? Because I don't think in Chicago you can open carry. Good night, Devil Dog. So I'm not happy about this whole no bail law. Okay, yeah. So that makes a huge difference, Yardbirds, if you can open carry or have constitutional carry. I sure hope so, Dan. I hope so, because if this goes, even for them to do this as a trial run, why would you put innocent lives and innocent citizens in harm's way to do a trial run? I mean, how did those trial runs work in California and Oregon and Washington State with their trial run of legalizing drugs, or not being a criminal charge for theft under a certain amount, or not being allowed to do car chases, the police not being allowed to do car chases in some states? Those were trial runs, and it seemed to not work in their favor, but then they never did away with it. They never fixed it. So there's that one. What do you think would happen in your state if something like this happened? We live in, our state has, our crime rate is probably drugs in South Carolina. And I think if a lot of these people were let out, I don't think it would be pretty here, but we're the South. So a lot of things, you don't get away with a lot of things in the South. Oh, that's nice, Yardbirds. That's awesome. Yeah, that would definitely taper down the crime quite a bit if you weren't sure who was carrying and who wasn't, or if you saw who was carrying. I can't imagine you would commit a crime in front of someone who has a 9 strapped to their hip. And if you do, then you're high on some serious drugs that it wouldn't even matter at that point. Hi, Tracy. Okay. So this one kind of upset me, and I think that you all would agree. This is the article title. However, what this article is about is California wants to legalize prostitution. So they think that in order to cut down on victims of rape and child sex trafficking, that the answer to that is to legalize prostitution. So I don't know if you all have ever done research on, or any background, any just do basic research on how child trafficking works, or um, sex trafficking works, and so forth. Uh, but even in some of the counties, there are still some counties and some states that have uh, escorting services. Las Vegas is one of them, where there is prostitution there that is legalized, but that doesn't mean that it's stopping sex trafficking, or human trafficking, or rape. It just means that now the state or county is getting money from taxes from the business, and it means that you're less likely now to get an STD, because the legalized prostitutes are tested more often, and they do have random tests for uh, patrons. Um, but it does not stop them from being stuck in that business, because a lot of them, they are still, even though it's legalized for the business, those people that are working it, a lot of them are still forced to be in that sex business. They are still forced to do things that they don't want to do. There is still rape that happens in these businesses, even though it's illegal. So to come straight out and say that legalizing prostitution is going to cut down on sex trafficking and rape and child trafficking, human trafficking, forced labor is ridiculous. It is literally just going to give a hub for these things to happen. I'm reading comments, guys. I didn't freeze. Yes, stray kitten, that's exactly what it is. They wanna legalize. I love how you put that. They wanna legalize slavery, and when she says slavery, she's talking about, um, uh, human trafficking and forced labor and sex trafficking, child trafficking, so forth. That's another thing, is a lot of younger teens that are trying to get away from whatever lives, home life, to find a better life, either because they're abused or whatever. A lot of them fall into human traffickers, handlers' hands, and they end up um, getting a whole new identity from their handler. So they will get a new name, new birth date, um, and sometimes a new ID, but usually human sex trafficking people, they are not allowed to hold their own items. Human traffickers aren't allowed to hold their own personal items. But in order to get jobs, or to um, have some sort of identity in case they get picked up by the police, they are given fake identities. And this includes their birth date. So you have a 15-year-old on the streets that are given an ID that says that they are actually 22, with a fake name and their picture. So, even though they have this stuff, they are created new identities so that they can be human trafficked. They can be um, literally slaves to their handler, to make their handler or their pimps money. And now California is trying to legalize this for businesses so that they are all under one roof. Um, and the state or the county or city can get um, money back from this legalized business because of taxes and certifications and licensing and so forth. So the city and all that is making money off of literally putting people into the workforce. Most of them don't want to; they're scared to leave to um, to work. Good night, XNYC. Yes, random. That's exactly right. There is going to be more women to be forced into that business, if that's what you want to call it. Hey, Jason, um, to fill those rooms, to bring more money into the business owner, and then you get all the corrupt people being a part of it too. Whether it be, not all of them, you guys, but There are going to be some police that are going to be corrupt in that industry. There are going to be some political figures that are going to be corrupt in that industry, and they're going to make it work. And who knows, those legalized businesses could be hubs for people to be like Sound of Freedom, sent off. Oh, okay, NYC. Sorry. Okay, so let's get into some good news now. I told you guys I wanted to end this on some positivity. So I have some really cool things that I found that I want to share with you guys. So now this doesn't really affect the men unless you're married and or you know someone that's gone through this. But now they have created a blood test that can screen for ovarian cancer before it gets too late, before it gets too far, before it spreads too fast. So most women, whenever there was suspicions of any kind of girly cancer, they had to go in and get really, really painful biopsies. If any of you females have ever been through it, you understand, but they hurt like hell. And now they have found that there are 3 specific proteins that show up in your bloodstream that shows that you have the start of ovarian cancer. So they are rolling out this blood test and they are making it more well known so that women don't have to go through these painful biopsies. They can just go in and get a simple blood test and rule it out or confirm it early so that they can get treatment early before it spreads to other things and it becomes too late. So I thought that was really awesome. And like I said, any of you women that have been through that, any of those biopsies, you completely understand how really great this is as far as news. And then, do you guys remember also during COVID? I thought this was awesome. When churchgoers, okay, first when COVID came out, they said churches were not allowed to have church. Okay, then they said, okay, well, you know what, we're not going to have church indoors. We will do church service outside, which was an awesome stand for the religious communities to do this. Well, then they said there were some states that the police said, well, even if you're outside, you have to wear a face mask. And there are some religious communities that took a stand and said, we are outside in public in the fresh air. We are not wearing a face mask. And some of these church people, not all of them were leaders, some of them were attendees, got arrested for not wearing a mask out in public. Well, here we are 2 years later, and some of these people that were arrested for not wearing a mask outside during their service got paid. They sued and they got paid. It only took a couple of years, but in Idaho, I think there are 5 or 6 people got paid $300,000 for being wrongly arrested because they took a stand. And I'm sure that this is opening up a door for others to step up and do lawsuits for wrongful termination, wrongful arrests, for unconstitutional laws. This is just a stepping stone to open up the doors to get other people to understand you can stand your ground. Something might happen at that point, but if you know it's wrong, stand your ground. Don't go along with the masses just because. And these people ended up getting paid because they stood their ground. Yeah, exactly. NYC, exactly. But yeah, so these churchgoers in Idaho, they got arrested for not wearing a mask outside during church service in the public, in their parking lots, or in a park, got arrested for not wearing a mask, and they 2 years later, 2.5 years later, got paid $300,000 for being arrested for not wearing a mask. So let that sink in. How many times have you been thrown out of a restaurant or a store because you wouldn't wear your mask, or weren't allowed in because you weren't wearing the mask? So now all these wrongdoings are starting to come to light, and I think it is amazing that it's starting to come to light. It's starting to be made right, all because they stood their ground and they were like, "No way, I'm not going along with this nonsense." Let me get to the next one. I'm kind of going fast because I know that I'm taking longer than I normally do. Oh, yeah, Yardbirds, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So this is in Europe. I loved this too. With all the depression and frustration and stress going on in the world, this one lady in Europe is trying to help people feel better. She has created a pod. It is called the Grief Disco Kiosk. I think this is so cool. So, moved by a desire to help people deal with grief and angst caused by COVID-19, Brexit, and the climate crisis, artist Anne Nicholson wanted to create a space where the public can shake out grief and unravel their climate angst. Nicholson is collaborating with the Loss Project, K67 Berlin, and Street Sound System to realize the ambitious public art project. The kiosk is a refurbished K67 kiosk, I can't talk, a modernist design gem associated with ad hoc post-Soviet spaces, chip stalls, newspaper stands, student cafes, shelters, which invokes a legacy of European unity and collaboration. As well as DJ sets, there will be meditation and yoga workshops, dance classes, and grief raves where clubbers can request tracks that remind them of absent or lost loved ones. It will be located in London's Canary Wharf before eventually touring Europe and the UK. Nicholson got the idea in the debilitating aftermath of the deaths of her mother, sister's partner in a helicopter crash, and her father of cancer a few years later that year. During times of grief or anxiety, it can be difficult to find joy. Dance floors bring people together in powerful ways and allow people to process complex feelings in a physical way. The dance floor has been a space of silence and safety as I've navigated the many great losses and painful grief of my life throughout the past decade, and having successfully installed public realm project around grief and mental health over the past 2 years, we've noticed a distinct change in how people wish to connect and come together. This is an overwhelming need to shake out your grief physically right now. So this little pod, they've put it out in the street where people that are stressed out, upset, sad, whatever, can pick a song or playlist, get in this pod and dance it out, scream it out, what's that called? Mosh it out, whatever. I mean, you can't really mosh by yourself, but I mean, get in there and let all this energy, all this sadness, all this grief, this anger, this stress, and just get it out in this pod and just let it go. And I think a lot of us really hold a lot of that in. So I think this is really, really cool. And I think that the more people that go in and do it, other people will also go in and do it. And it's important to, I think this brings attention that it is important to not be afraid to let those feelings out, not be afraid to really yell if you need to yell, not be afraid to cry when you need to cry, not be afraid to really just shake everything out or stretch everything out. Or I know it sounds silly, guys, but we're supposed to dance like nobody's watching. And this is the best time in these pods to be able to do that. It really, really makes you feel better. I know, Marco, I said mosh, but you can't really mosh by yourself. Yeah, that would be cool, Dan. If those were in workspaces, there would probably be a line to get into this pod at most of our jobs because it would just be amazing to be able to walk off a floor when we just had a not so nice customer or a jerk of a boss or whatever to just go in there and just just let it out, or just dance it out or whatever, whatever you guys do to release that stress. It's just amazing that this woman has created this pod to go out into the streets in Europe and just let it out. I think it's great. I am running out of time. All right, here's another feel good story, you guys. So in where was this? I don't remember where this is. I know it's overseas. This is a milkman who worked for the same community for years, and he retired. And when he retired, the company would not allow him to collect on his pension for a year after his retirement. So the community that he delivered milk to for years came together, raised $15,000 to help support this elderly gentleman, pay his bills, and pay what they could to help support him to get to that year. So the community came together to support this man to get to that year, so he wasn't forced to work any longer, but he wasn't struggling waiting for that year to come up. So I think that was really great for the community to come together and do something like that, because they don't do it. They don't do things like that anymore. It's just something nice that people need to come together. If somebody is hurting or somebody is struggling, people come together and do things to help them get through it. Let's not go on that one. Here's another feel good story. I know that this is a little bit longer, guys, than it usually is, but I tried to find some feel good stuff. I don't want to just put crappy, yucky stuff. So a freight train driver, where is it? Here it is. Driver stops train to rescue pug before a massive tearful reunion with owners. This guy, and I love this pug because I used to have a pug that looked just like this. His name was Bailey. I lost him a couple of years ago. He only had one eye, though. One of my dogs only had one eye. But this freight train driver took a break from his work in the locomotive to play a part of the rescue for a little lost pug which had run away from her owners the night before. Poppy the pug had become frightened by a speeding car in Rutland, UK, and 60-year-old owners Dan and Ian Bain had been out searching for her all night long. At 20 past 8 the next morning, Michael Jones was nearing Lockham Crossing in the freight train when he described seeing a flash of red from Poppy's harness disappear into the bushes near the level crossing. All of a sudden, there was just this tiny little face looking back at him. She was trembling and looking down at the ground. This man stopped the freight train, leapt out of the cabin to get the tiny little dog and rescue him from being on the side of the tracks. He called ahead to the next crossing at the town called Oakham that he'd found and lost the dog, and then turned his attention to feeding the little pug crumpets and water. At that same moment, Mr. Bain arrived at the Oakham crossing to ask the employees there if any dog had been reported on the tracks that morning, to which the worker in the box replied that not only had one been found, but that it's on its way to them at that very moment. So this man stopped his freight train for a little teeny tiny pug and got it back to the owners. I thought that was so, so sweet. Okay, Yardbirds. Most people, most train drivers, or even people on the road would really, they don't stop for animals. I'm lucky in my neighborhood. Our neighborhood posts or tries to catch the animals that are loose, and we try to find the owners. But a lot of, especially a freight train driver, they are not normally going to stop. They just barrel through animals, unfortunately. And a lot of them can't stop. I get that. But this one could. And not only could he stop, he did stop. He picked it up and he fed this little pug crumpets and water. I think that's just so cool that this guy took a minute to be a human again and have a heart again and share some kindness. So I think that's amazing, and it makes you really think, how many times can we stop to help an animal, or how many times can we stop to um, help a person even. Poppy the pug found his way home. I'm going to go through really, really quick. I'm going to go through just a couple more stories. I know it's over an hour, guys. You don't have to stick around if you don't want to hear these happy little stories I found. I completely understand. You have other things to do. But if you want to stick around and hear these happy little stories and how humanity still has a chance, no matter what the news says, please do, because I think they are so, so sweet. One second. I got to close some of these because I don't know which ones I've gone through already. I'm saving that one for last. Okay. Sorry, guys. One second. I'm trying to find this. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this little 8-year-old girl, teach your children, guys, teach your children how to be kind. We always talk about children of the future. This little girl raised money to give homeless people a day at their state fair. So an 8-year-old girl is making waves in the community as she takes it upon herself to raise money to help people experiencing homelessness attend the Tulsa State Fair. With her mother's help, Lila Thomas has launched Fair Share, a new program that raises money and connects with the city's homeless. She came up with the idea after she was at a Tulsa parade. She said she saw someone who was homeless not having a good time, and it broke her heart. She wants everyone to experience the fun the city offers. I thought that they might have a lot of fun at the fair, so I just thought of an idea and I told my mom, and she said it's a great idea. With Fair Share, people will be selected by recommendations from organizations that work closely with unhoused individuals. Caseworkers will also join them during their night at the fair. So this little lady, this little girl raised money and reached out to businesses so that the businesses can recommend someone in their community that they know is homeless. You might be at McDonald's and a homeless person frequents your McDonald's or whatever. They recommend people to be able to go to the fair and spend the day cost-free, to go have a happy day, to get away from their stresses in life and be able to attend the fair cost-free for the entire day and just bring a little bit of joy in their terrible situations in their life. And sometimes this is really all somebody needs, is just this little tiny bit of kindness. This little 8-year-old girl had such a big heart to start this program to let homeless people have a day of fun, a day of happiness, a day of joy, and showed a little bit of kindness to them instead of treating them like they were disease or scum of the earth. If this little 8-year-old girl can do this, guys, then Any one of us can. Any one of us can do something so small that would make such a huge difference in somebody's life. This girl just, for her to have an idea to put together a whole program, I think is amazing. And that starts in the home. So definitely, this girl was raised right. This girl was taught to have a heart and to really be nurturing and kind to people and strangers. And that's something that if we believe that the children are the future, which I strongly believe the children are the future, then we should be teaching our children as well. And hopefully, you know, 10 years from now, when they become adults, then they will have made the world a better place and not what what the world is becoming now. I'm gonna run out of time. All right. Let's share one more. Um, and this is minor, but this actually means a lot to me, you guys. And the reason why is just a couple weeks ago, my husband and I were out and about, and we were stopping to get something to eat for lunch. And there was this teenage boy in front of us that um, did not have the ability to pay for his food. And the reason why is because where we went said that they were not taking cash. And this um, this boy only had cash. So, and they were very rude at the store to him. Like they didn't even offer to direct him anywhere else and so forth. And this kid was here from out of town. So, my husband and I saw this happening, and without even thinking twice, the kid had already put his money or his order in the kiosk, and he went up to pay cash, and they wouldn't take cash. So his order was already in the kiosk. So when my husband and I saw this, we went straight over there, and we paid for his food. We didn't even think twice. We paid for his food because we felt it was not okay for um, this, to us, child to go without food. So he was very like, oh no, no, you don't have to do that. And we told him, no, you're good, don't worry about it. And he tried to give us the cash, and of course we declined. We were like, no, no, no. He like kept following us around trying to get us to take this money, and we were like, no. And I turned around and I said, listen, we do not want your money. You can have your food. We are just asking you to please pay it forward. Okay. And he just smiled at us and he's like, okay, okay. So I came across this article, and let me tell you guys, this kid looks just like the boy that we helped. I don't know if it is him or not, but he looks just like him. And I'm going to read this to you because um, his words, this boy's words matched what we said to the boy that we saw. So this guy writes a post on his Facebook page, and he says, I want to brag on this young man named Hayden working at McDonald's on Exit 8, wherever. Jason Moiser wrote on Facebook last month. Moiser had his mind set on bragging after experiencing that Hayden was prepared to help him out even in the most innocuous of jams. Moiser had just tried to pay with a card, but the charge of $8 was declined. Before the customer even knew what was happening, Hayden had whipped out his own debit card to pay the bill, saying, I got you. Don't worry about it. I said, no, just void it, please. Moiser recounted on his Facebook page. Hayden said, no, sir, I got it. The only cash I had was $4 in $4 and $1 bills. I made him take the $4 and told him I would be back. Well, Hayden wasn't backing down. He wanted to pay something forward and ended up having the final word when he left a surprise for Moiser in his meal bag. So when this man got out to his car and he went into his bag, he found the $4 that this man gave him with a note that says, "Have a blessed day." And this boy, I'm telling you guys, this boy looks just like the boy that my husband and I just literally did the same thing for um, just a couple, 2, 3 weeks ago. So it makes me wonder if this isn't the same boy because he was out of town, if he didn't go home and literally pay it forward. And if he didn't pay it forward, guys, somebody else did this to him. If it wasn't us, somebody else did this to this boy to where he's paying it forward. So, with that being said, I am challenging everyone that is still the 15 people that are in my chat to do something similar for someone this week and tell them if they catch you, you don't have to be seen. You can very easily do things without being seen to show kindness. But if they catch you, I want you to tell the person to pay it forward. That they don't want it, that you don't want the payment, you don't want any recognition, you just want them to please pay it forward. Because if this happened to this boy and this happened to someone that we may have touched here and they keep paying it forward, all the news talking about how terrible everyone is and how everyone is out to get everyone and how everyone is out to hurt everyone, and you know, the division and the racism and the prejudice and whatever. Let's show them they're wrong. Let's show the mainstream media that they don't have any idea what they're talking about. Whatever humanity they are talking about is not the humanity that we live in, that we are a people that love each other, that help each other, including strangers, and we pay it forward. Even if it's just a cup of coffee, even if it's just somebody behind you in a fast food restaurant, pay it forward. I challenge you guys, one pay it forward this week. If you can do more, amazing. If you can't, just do one. Just do one. It could be a 99-cent coffee, guys. Pay it forward. And then tell them, pay it forward. And let's start a domino effect. That's what I'm challenging you guys with. And if you do pay it forward, you guys, if you are able to, I want you to come back to this video, as long as YouTube doesn't take it off. Come back to this video and I want you to write a comment and just say PIF. And that way I know that you've completed that challenge. Okay? That's what I want you guys to do. Pay it forward. And I'm going to end it on that one, guys. I'm an hour and 20 minutes over, but I'm taking off 10 minutes for my trivia. I am going to probably cut this video up too. I am trying to concentrate on the membership side. So I'm trying to get some videos out there for the memberships. I do have a couple of members and I've been slacking. So I'm trying to get some of those videos out on the membership side, because it's not fair to them to be a member and then not get anything extra. So I will be pushing out some members only videos, you guys, so that they don't feel like they are just lost, you know, in the nothingness. I encourage you guys to be kind to each other. Don't forget about the meetup. If you are deciding on coming, please make sure that you register so that I have a head count so I know how many people to pay for. Please, please, please let me know ahead of time if you are coming or not. If you can't, if you're not sure until later, I understand. But I would rather have you register now and then have to take it back later if you can't make it, so that I have an idea of what I have to put aside. That is October 13th, 14th, 15th in Zuni, Virginia, at Blackwater Birds and Bees. Let me see, is there anything else? I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, Stan, nice. Anybody else accepting that challenge? I saw Virginia. Virginia, you're gonna take that challenge too? That's great. All right. I don't see anyone else. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. New York City. Yay. I got 3 people taking that challenge. That's so great. That makes me so happy. I think it's great. I'm getting all giddy. Just little things like that make me so happy. There's the registration link, you guys. If you want to register for the meetup, Virginia's gonna do the pay it forward. Oh, you know what, you guys? If you guys go into other people's streams too, challenge them too. Challenge them. I need you guys to put this challenge out to other creators to pay it forward. And let's see how much of this news we can show is humanity actually has a chance and it's not as bad as the news is trying to make us out to be. Okay? All right. I am an hour and technically 15 minutes because I got 10 minutes of trivia at the beginning waiting. So, as always, be kind, love each other, help each other. Members specifically. Sorry guys, I was reading a comment. Love each other, be kind to each other, help each other. Know that we're going to be okay. Come together and pay it forward. All right. I can't wait to hear you guys' stories. If you want to share the pay it forwards, by all means do. But otherwise, just put in the comments PIF. That way I know you did it. All right. Good night, you guys. Much, much, much love. And have a good night. Mwah.